Okay, I think without further ado, should introduce our keynote speaker this morning, Jarrett, Bryan, who is going to talk to us about his journey so far, and academic. So if we could give a round of applause.
Good morning, thank you very much. Good morning, guys. My name is Jarrett Bryan. Thank you very much for having me this morning. Gary told me about this about 6 months ago, and I was very excited to be here and joining you guys today. You've got a long list of Google some of the people, a long list of impressive speakers here today. So you're in for a great day. So who the hell am I? So my name is Jarrett Bryan. I am a journalist and a sports broadcaster and also a content creator. And I'll get to that bit in just a little bit. I primarily work as a freelancer with Channel 4 News, BBC, and also the Premier League productions. So sport is my main bag. I've always been a massive sports fan, love sports, and I feel like I've got pretty much the best job in the world in reporting and talking about sports. I've always been a sports nut, so getting to work in this industry now for me is a massive blessing. I'll try and get through as quickly as possible because I know that you've got lots of people to speak to today. I started from about 16, where I began writing for a youth magazine called Live, which is in South London, in Brixton, which was a publication that primarily was about youth culture. And it was written and produced by young people for young people. And it was from everything to do with album reviews and game reviews to more serious stuff, including teenage pregnancy and bullying at school. It's a free magazine, and I got to learn and craft journalism with doing that. I was mentored and partnered up with a lot of professionals in the industry, and it gave me a very good grounding on journalism firsthand. And I became editor very, very, very quickly. I was 16, I believe. I was the second editor of that publication. I produced, I think it was about 19 editions. I left the 22, went on to another magazine called ATM, edited that, which was a music magazine at the time, and I did that for 2 years, and then decided that as much as I love music and I love youth culture, sport was really my big passion. So I decided I wanted to change from music journalism and go into sports journalism, which was a very, very difficult and tough transition for me. But I did it. I'm kind of going through this quite quickly. I played basketball professionally in Italy for a few years, which was great. While I was in Italy, this is 2009, Channel 4 had won the broadcasting rights for the Paralympic Games in 2012. The BBC had those previously up until that stage, but Channel 4 won the broadcasting rights. And a big part of their pitch to win those rights was they said we want to use young, diverse and disabled talent to front our coverage of the Paralympic Games. So I applied and I got the gig, and that was great. They spent a year and a half pretty much training us up to be presenters. So bearing in mind my background before that was all in print journalism, making the transition into broadcast journalism was a huge thing for me. Now, essentially it's all writing, but there's a difference between writing for a magazine or a newspaper and writing for television or for online. And that took me a little while to kind of get my head around, but I did eventually. Did the 2012 games, that went well. Does anyone remember the 2012 Paralympic Games? Yeah. It was great. It was a great summer for the whole country and for disability sport in particular, and the Olympics was great too. I then, off the back of that, got a gig because I was fretting, because when that finished, it was like, great 2 years, Paralympics, Channel 4, brilliant, trained us up, that finished, now what? Need a job. But luckily, one of the rap Channel 4 Paralympic parties, I was on the table of the then new editor of Channel 4 News. And he mentioned that he'd seen some of my work. I was chewing his ear off about how much I wanted to stay in sports broadcasting. And I enjoyed it a lot. He said, okay, let's have a meeting. He was very, very drunk. I got him even more drunk. I managed to get a meeting with him, and eventually he asked me to come in to do a few weeks sports reporting for Channel 4 News. That's now 7 years later, and I'm still there doing all of Channel 4 News' sports broadcastings. Anything you see sports related on Channel 4 News, that's sports, 9 times out of 10 it'll be me that's reporting those stories. I love my job. I think I have the best job in the world. Like I said, I get to meet some of the most fantastic athletes, cover some of the most fantastic sporting events. It's not always fun and lovely. I think within the first year and a half of my time, in fact, the first year of my time at Channel 4 News, I covered arguably the 2 biggest sporting stories of probably the last decade: the Lance Armstrong doping scandal and Oscar Pistorius scandal as well. They were both within, I think, about a year of each other, so it was like, whoa, 2 big stories in a year. But it was great because it put me in at the deep end, and I learned kind of to swim on my feet. But it was great. But yeah, I've had the chance to interview some fantastic athletes, including I've done Usain Bolt, I've met Andy Murray, I've interviewed Jessica Hill, Anthony Joshua. I get to meet some fantastic athletes, and as a big sports fan myself, that for me is amazing. Went to the World Cup last year in Russia. I've done the last 2 Paralympics in London and Rio, hoping to go to Tokyo next year. So I'm very blessed, very, very blessed to do the job that I do, which essentially is reporting about sport. And I love that. I got into it because I had a passion for writing, I had a passion for journalism, and a passion for media. So I didn't go to university, so I have no qualifications at all. But what I did have was a style of writing, I had a determination, and I had a couple of breaks as well. I had some good people around me that guided me to various different publications and different people that gave me the experience that I needed to be able to kind of kick on. So I've always felt that media is one of the few industries where you don't need a bag of qualifications. If you have a style, a determination, and you have good ideas, that pretty much is the basis of what you need. Now, I would never, ever, ever discourage anybody from pursuing the educational routes of going down that way of trying to obtain a career within journalism or media. I would never do that because I understand the value of an education. I understand the value of qualifications as well. So I would never say to anybody, don't go to university, you don't need it. I tell people it's not essential, because I'm living proof that you can be a bit of a Dumbo and still have a career in journalism and the media. And I'm doing okay. I love my job, I love it. I work with a great team at Channel 4 News. Our agenda when it comes to sport in particular is a little bit different to other news outlets, because we don't care so much about transfer fees and hamstrings on the weekend. We care more about the news angles of sport. So when there's a doping scandal, when there's sexual abuse, when there's racism, those are the sort of stories that we tend to cover when it comes to sport at Channel 4 News. I decided about a year ago to start up my own production company, which I will talk to you a lot about a bit more so. I noticed that coming from a particular entertainment and sports industry background, black people like me are very well represented in those particular industries. However, I wasn't seeing enough people like me in arenas beyond entertainment and sport, and I wanted to readdress that. So for example, Brexit is the big thing right now in politics. I noticed working at Channel 4 News, whenever we have a discussion live on the programme, you very, very rarely have more than one black person or one non-white person on that discussion, on that debate. And I thought to myself, well, why is that? There are academics out there, there are politicians out there, there are intelligent people out there who are not white and male, who can contribute and offer expertise on politics, on business, on science, on history, on a whole raft of things. The only time we'd get a black guest in the studio to discuss a subject was something to do with sport, hip hop, or fried chicken. And I was a bit like, nah, really? So I thought, I'm not liking that. So I want to start up a show that has a debate that covers a wide breadth of different subjects, that encompasses all the expertise and opinions that I think intelligent black people can offer. So I started up a show called It's All Blackademic. It's a YouTube show. We are going into our 3rd season, and it's been a massive eye-opener for me, because of the massive transition from being a presenter on television or a reporter on television to actually putting together a whole production. There's so many things that I hadn't thought about that I'm now having to think about, because it's not just turning up, doing your two-way, doing your live down the camera for 2 minutes, great, you're off. There's a whole wide raft of things to consider, which I hadn't until I started this. I've got a very short video that's a compilation of the season 2 just finished, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about It's All Black Academic after the video.
I think one of the problems with Tiger Woods is he doesn't overtly exude someone, I don't know, you'd say is proud of being black.
The word that doesn't really come to mind when we discuss Serena previously, I would definitely say in the last 2 to 3 years, is that she's sexy.
There are communities within the black community that are historically vegan. So you have the Rastafarians.
As a young hip hop fan, a group like Public Enemy got me as a young boy to go to the library.
Myself personally, I just remain very sceptical that it can be a party that would serve the interests of the diaspora.
I feel like we celebrate people who are mediocre. I'm just going to put it out there. In America, when you meet a successful business person, they are millionaires, they are billionaires.
I'm successful, but I can also be angry, I can be frightened, I can be hurt, I can exist in many different manifestations of who I am.
Let's face it, if you don't know every single piece of EU law, every trade deal that we're part of because we're members of the EU, every system, every framework that gets us drugs into this country, that all ends with no deal. So if you're arguing for no deal and you don't know all that stuff, you literally, and I mean literally, don't know what you're talking about.
So you going back to Africa, you're more or less, to an extent, and this might sound weird, almost like the colonial master.
So that's my show. That's a compilation of some of the shows done in season 2. We cover everything from politics to music, fashion, lifestyle, sports, everything. If it's interesting, we'll debate it. The only difference is it's coming from academics and intelligent black people who I know. So having worked in the media and TV, I call on some favours from some friends of mine. So Afua Hirsch has been on, Dame Baptiste has been on, Adia Depitan's been on, Rodney P was on this season, Femi from Our Future, Our Choice, because they understand that there isn't really a forum for black people to talk about things with understanding. So for example, you'll watch Good Morning Britain, or many of you watch Good Morning Piers. I call it the Piers Morgan Show because it's the Piers Morgan Show, really. Many people I know are very hesitant about going on shows like that because the debates they have when it comes to things relating to, say, transgender, the black community, people who are vegan, people who are gay. It's hard to have those debates when you're talking with people that don't have a real understanding of what the issue is. You know, feminism. Piers Morgan's got a very big mouth, very, very big mouth. And I'll be honest, I don't disagree with everything he even says, but there are so many things that he debates that you can just quite clearly tell he's debating from an issue of ignorance. And that for me is a problem when it comes to my community, because it's hard to have a debate on a subject when you're talking with somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. And I don't know if you guys saw the recent thing on the show called The Pledge on Sky News. Did anyone know The Pledge? It's a show on Sky News. Afua Hirsch, who's a broadcaster and journalist, she was on it about 3 weeks ago, and they had a debate around Danny Baker. I mean, that Danny Baker should have been fired for the tweet that he posted a few weeks ago around the monkey and Meghan Markle's baby. She got very upset on that show because the debate was supposed to be, should Danny Baker be fired for his tweet? Which I think is a legitimate debate to have. The problem she had was that the rest of the panelists didn't all agree that the tweet was even racist. So the frustration for people like her, people like me is, how can we debate whether Danny Baker should have been fired or not, which is a legitimate debate, if we can't even all agree from the get-go the tweet was racist? And forums like mine, I think people are coming on because they understand that we understand the issue. We can disagree. We can disagree on whatever subject. In fact, I encourage people to disagree. But we have to have an understanding of what we're talking about in the first place. And I think It's All Blackademic as a show that allows people to have their opinions, offer their expertise, but with the understanding that we understand what we're talking about here. I've got a fantastic team I've put together of camera operators, digital team guys. I've got 3 producers, I've got 6 camera operators. It's a lot of work. So things I was talking about earlier on in regards to understanding things I didn't know before, it's not just turning up, reading some questions, doing an intro and going home. It's planning the whole production. How does it look? What shots do we want? What do we want to ask each individual person? Are the sound levels correct? Who's editing it? How do we edit it? Do we have a title sequence? What's the music behind the track? All these things that I have to think about, which I enjoy, but it's a learning process for me. But I'm enjoying it. It's on YouTube. I would love everybody to have a check it out and look it up on YouTube. It's spelled Blackademic with no C, and we're across all the socials. We've got a website as well, blackademic.com. So that's my new passion project as well. I also host, alongside this, produce and host 2 separate football podcasts. They're slightly different in what they kind of do. So I keep busy, but I love production, and we do something that I think is pretty cool, and I think it's good for the culture as well, and I encourage other people. The thing about YouTube now is it allows people to have a voice, it allows people to produce what they want to produce, and not have to worry about waiting to be published or commissioned. You can just do it yourself. Get some cameras, get some mics, and do your own thing. And my encouragement to everybody here and beyond would be, have an idea and do it. Don't wait. Because I'm not a very patient person. There's no need to wait. If you have an idea and you have some good people around you, go and make it happen, because that's what I did. This cost me a lot of money to do, but I believe in it, and I believe that it will take off, and then I'll get back my what I put into it. My main advice would be to you to just have an idea and just do it. Just before we started, Gary said something. What did Gary say earlier on? What was it? If no one does it, it doesn't get done.
If you don't do it.
If you don't do it, it doesn't get done.
It doesn't get done. And
that's something that's gonna. Is Gary here? I think he's late. I'm stealing that. I like that one. And that's kind of how I treated my show. I just thought if I keep waiting for someone to do this, I'll be waiting all day. So I just did it myself, and I encourage you guys to do it yourself. So that's me, sports broadcaster, content creator, and journalist. Thank you very much.
I'm going to join on stage really quickly. We've got about 15 minutes for questions. I've definitely got a couple of questions after that. Yeah, the first thing I'm going to ask, because that was such a beautiful keynote, and you covered so much ground so passionately. And as we were saying about what Gary had said, if you don't do it yourself, it doesn't get done. Which we both kind of laughed at each other and went, well, maybe that's the thing for the day, and you're like, no, but that's the thing for life. I think so. I was just thinking about your guests on Blackademic, and just thinking about what you'd said and what we were talking about earlier when we met earlier this morning, and that just back to that sort of journey. So I wanted to start the other way around, because you covered so much great ground there, and you're able to kind of like deconstruct and break down where you've been and where you're going and where you're at. So I think maybe if we start with what would have been my final question first, and you've kind of answered it just within content and your very presence and what you've achieved thus far. But I think sometimes it's quite good to try and unpack it, because I think we all have very different ways of describing how we feel about this particular topic. Representation, what does it mean to you? Absence and presence, and why is that?
It means to me having an opportunity to do what it is you want to do. So again, go back to the internet and to YouTube. YouTube allows everybody now, man, woman, young, old, black, white, whatever, to do what it is that you want to do. If you have an idea, there's no excuses anymore. When I first started out in journalism over 15 years ago now, you had to wait to be commissioned. You had to wait to be published. Someone had to say, I like that article, I'm gonna put it out. I like that show, I'm gonna publish it. Cool. Now, when I speak to young people in particular, anybody in fact, there's no excuse. There is no excuse. When people say to me, I don't want to do this, but just do it. Just do it. Just have an idea and make it happen. It won't be perfect at the start, it won't be great at the start, but do it. I've done so many things before this that haven't worked out. You just got to do it. So representation to me is about the opportunity to do what it is you want to do. And with that now, there are no longer excuses. There's no excuses anymore. Everyone's got a phone, everyone's got a smartphone. You don't need to spend 10 grand on a camera. You've all got, I'm sure, fancy iPhones and Samsung phones. 2 or 3 of those now. In fact, the iPhone 10, which I've got, I'm told, is better than certain cameras. It's actually better than certain cameras. So you don't need to spend, the days of spending 10 grand on a fancy camera, them days are gone. Just get a couple of phones, get a couple of mates, have an idea, a couple of seats, a table, and have a debate, have a show. It's not, representation for me is about doing it, because everyone now can do it, no one's stopping you. There's I think it was named last year as Britain's most influential or richest black man, Rick Lewis. He did a podcast, Channel 4 News, about 2-3 months back, and it's a great listen. But there's a line there where he says, if when you wake up in the morning and you get out of your bed, is someone by your bed stopping you? And the answer is no. Yeah. When you go to the bathroom to brush your teeth, is someone actively blocking you from brushing your teeth? No. When you want to put on your clothes, is there someone stopping you putting on your clothes? No. And that kind of stuck with me, because it's like, well, you're right, no one's stopping me doing the things I want to do in the morning. So apply that to your professional life and have the attitude of, well, if I want to do this thing, if I want to be a producer, if I want to be a videographer, if I want to be a cameraman or a sound man, whatever it may be, just go and do it. Just do it. And you won't be great at first, but just do it. And Scott.
No, please, finish.
Just to add to that as well, and I always say to young people in particular, because they're scared about failing, they're scared about doing something that's not great straight away. My thing is, get over that. Put out everything you do. So if it's a podcast, if it's a YouTube show, if it's whatever it is, put it out. Photos, if you have to, put it out. Even if you cringe, because you will cringe at your first job. You will cringe. You'll be like, I want to put that out. Put it out for 2 reasons. One, you will learn from it, and you will see a journey. And people like to see a journey. So you put out, I don't know, a few photos now or a video now. 6 months, 18 months from now, you look back, you can see progression. So you're like, oh, 6 months ago I was doing that and it was rubbish. Now, they're still not great, but they're better than they was. People like to see a journey. And also as well, it will help your confidence. Because once you see that 6 months ago I was producing this bit of content, or I produced that production and it was that level, and now it's at this level, it gives you confidence to think, I am getting better. So don't wait until you've produced the perfect bit of content to put it out, because you've been waiting a long time. Put out everything, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, and let people see the journey and the improvement and progression that you're making.
Jordan, I think that's reflected in the guests that you've been able to kind of have on the show so far, and sort of facilitate where they're coming from and what they're about. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, what I love is the fact that seemingly on the surface, it's that notion of like seemingly disparate connections. Rodney P, Femi, lots of different creators, lots of different people and creators come from different perspectives, disciplines and backgrounds. But there's a need for representation and voice and conversation. What was it like approaching certain folks? I'm sure some folks you probably...
Some of them I knew, to be fair.
Known over time through your experience as a writer.
Yeah, some of them I knew, and they were like, everyone, I've not heard not one person said to me, I don't want to be on your show. It's always the case.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is the feeling that we were talking about, that kind of idea of absence and presence, and there's clearly a vacuum for discourse, for conversation, for people of colour, people of African diaspora. So what were their thoughts when you approached them and said, well, Okay, so what's the show? What's the format?
They loved it. I explained the show to them and they were like, we need this. We need a show where we can discuss and debate issues, as I said earlier on, where there's an understanding from everyone on the panel of what we're discussing. And I think that is, you're seeing that in other communities as well. I think you're seeing a lot of women, but black women in particular. There's so many now vlogs, blogs, YouTube shows where black women are now feeling empowered to talk about the things that they don't think are being discussed. And they're owning those narratives. The gay community, the LGBT community, as I mentioned, the vegan community, they think there's a lot of misnomers about being vegan. So I know 3 people that have got 3 vegan podcasts. People from certain parts of the country, you know, I mean, when people think of UK, they think of London. It's London, and it's like, no, there's more to the UK than London. So people that have regional accents and have different experiences than someone who's from London, they want to showcase and have their voice heard as well. So I think whatever group you're in, we're now seeing people understanding that we don't have to rely on TV anymore. We don't need TV anymore. We can have our own voice, our own productions, have our own message, and have our own emphasis on what narrative we want to A, put out, or B, control.
You were talking about the kind of escalation of skill sets, and you know, on the build up to the 2nd season of the show, on the build up to the 3rd season of the show. The question would be, is have you reached a moment of comfort yet, or is it, or is there always a, not necessarily a state of panic, but you know, those nerves that kick in as you're building towards?
Yeah, the comfort never, because there's so many more things I want to achieve, and there's, as much as the production and the product may look quite slick-ish, I hope, at the moment, there's always things I'm like, the sound on that show could have been better, or the edit there was a bit, nah, that's got to be better. Or even myself. So my big thing is I'm very hard on my crew and my team of people. I'm always like, that's got to be better, that's got to be better. But I'm harder on myself. So my big thing at the moment is I'm very, very bad at the end of every show at wrapping up the show and talking in a very slow and clear and coherent way. So I'll be talking, and because I don't know if it's just I get a bit energetic, I'll, what we call in the industry, swallow my words. So at the end of every show should be, thank you very much guys for coming on the show, don't forget to subscribe to the show, blah 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 blah. But I have to work on saying it slower, so I'll kind of like and I'll watch back on it, I'll be like, slow down, just slow down. Now that's maybe a small thing, and I think people can understand what I'm saying, but that's an example of something that I have to work on myself to make sure that. Yeah, I talk too quickly sometimes. It's something that I have to work on. So as much as I'm hard on everybody on my team, I'm pushing everything forward, I'm harder on myself as well, because I'm looking at my performance. How did you look? Were your questions really, was that a stupid question, Jordan? You know, did you really challenge him or her properly on that particular on that answer? So I'm always scrutinizing to make sure everything's better. We had a meeting last week about season 3, we start next month filming, and every area from social media to production to editorial to everything, I want more, I want better, and I want more. And they understand that, because I want to put up not only a debate that's intelligent, mature and engaging and progressive, I want to put it out in a high quality product format as well. Do you know what I mean? And to do that, I'm always pushing forward topics. So this season, we're upping it again. We're talking about porn, and does porn leave black boys at a disadvantage? We're talking about the LGBT community and our black people. Is there a stigma within our community that inhibits a lot of people who are gay and from that community? We're talking about we've got politics, so many things we've got coming up in this issue. Blurs. Anyone know about the blurs? Anyone heard of blurs?
Black nerds?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't either. So one of my producers said to me, we should do a show on blurs. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, blurs is like a really big thing. And I was like, what the hell is blurs? He's like, it's black nerds. It's this whole community of online of black nerds. And it's like, I've done some Googling and research on this. So we're trying to up the ante on debates as well as things that you can see as well. So it should be a good season.
So there's kind of like a double payoff there, isn't there? Whereby in your pursuit to tell stories and share share voices, there's kind of like an ongoing self-awareness.
Completely. You have to be very aware of your
So is there something within that about approaching these specific disciplines of journalism or being a presenter, whereby open-mindedness is a big key?
I think you have to be. I think you have to be, and I think, you know, as much as it's a YouTube show, I'm a journalist, and I try and make sure that there's an element of journalism through the show. So I know 80% of the people that come on the show, but I try to make sure that when we're on the show, we're not friends. I'm the presenter, you're the guest. I'm here to ask you questions and challenge you, because the ultimate goal of the show is to make people think about why they think what they think. So you may have an opinion on something, but I'm hoping that after watching the show, you may think, you know what, my man's got a point, you know, or yeah, I hadn't thought that before, and maybe my opinion wasn't. I need to think about that. You may still have your opinion, but I want people to think about why they think what they think.
Dream project for the future, or is Black Academics completely got your kind of 100% focus of energy
pretty
at
much.
the moment?
I've not got Black Academic to where I wanted to get, and it won't be for a while. But my dream project, I don't have a dream project, but I want to eventually go into long form content and documentaries. So
cool.
Working in news is great. It's daily news and it's 2-3 minute news pieces. It's great. But eventually I want to go into producing long form documentaries. On sport, at Channel 4 News, our challenge is always, how do you make someone that's not really big into sport engage in a sports story?
So Jordan, would you say for you it's really about storytelling?
Yeah, always.
And for you finding your
Always.
sense of sort of agency and authorship?
Completely. And how can I put a different angle, a different spin on a subject or a story or an issue that's already been told? Do you know what I mean? I don't like regurgitating the same with the Black Academic. I don't like regurgitating the same old shows. So for example, people always saying to me, for this season just gone, you should do a show on R. Kelly and Michael Jackson and their scandals. And my thing was always, well, I know about 15 shows have done that already, and if I can't think of a new angle to come with that, then I'd rather leave it alone. And I don't want to do a show on, is R. Kelly guilty? That's just, it's non-progressive, it's tired, and I just think it doesn't go anywhere. I don't really personally care. So it's always about thinking of new ideas to kind of keep things moving forward, yeah.
We're getting close to sort of wrapping things up. I mean, are there any sort of final points that you'd like to specifically make?
Just two things. Everyone subscribe to the channel, please. And also, if you know anybody, we're looking to add to our team. So I know we're based in London, but we're looking for videographers, we're looking for graphic designers, we're looking for sound operators, we're looking for anyone that works within media production that can contribute to the team. We have a live show coming up, it's again in London, on the 27th of this month. And yeah, you know, we want to add to the team, because as much as I'm growing alone on the job, so is my team, and I want to bring in other people. I've got a really good team. I want to bring in other people that want to take pictures, want to film, want to edit, want to do graphic design. You know what I mean? So anyone you know, or even yourselves, that want to get involved, please hit me up and let's get you involved in any way we can.
And if not, hopefully Gary.
Yes.
You know, check out the cables details. Hopefully
I can send
that
stuff
info can be facilitated. I think there's just enough time for 3 solid questions, if possible. Yes, please.
I just wanted to ask a practical question.
Mhm.
So when you get your team that you're going to interview, do you shoot a couple of different interviews or programs per day, or how does it actually
Yes.
practically? Yeah.
So because it's logistically and financially more taxing to do a show every single week, we film 3 shows or 4 shows in one day, and then we put them out every single week of the month. Yeah, I mean, to hire a venue every week, to get a team every week I mean, I'm almost homeless now, paying for it already, but that would finish me. That would be too much. So yeah, we plan 3/4 debates prior, and then we book our guests, and then we just have one whole day so I get to where we shoot at about 8 in the morning on a Saturday, and then we don't finish filming and packing down until like 6 that day. So we just bang out 4 episodes, yeah, in one hit. It's a long day. It's a fun day.
How long are the interviews then?
So the shows are half an hour max, and then we have a very brief interval where they change cameras, change cards, battery, that sort of thing. We get our new panel on. I have a quick wardrobe change, what was that show called? Where they go behind the screen and Sorry?
Mr. Ben.
No, the one with Matthew Kelly. Stars in their eyes, yes. I've got one screen, I change, so you feel like it's a new week, but really, it's just a change of clothes.
They have a sailor.
Any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Do you envision expanding it? I mean, you have a panel, but what about an audience as well, like question time and stuff, and trying to really open up? And also, my next sort of thing is, how about travelling as well? You know, Bristol's a great place to put something like that on, and I'm sure that you get more.
So two answers in one with that. We're doing our first live show this month.
Yeah.
So we've got a venue, not too dissimilar to this actually, in Stockwell in South London, where we're doing our first live show. If that goes well, and I'm sure it will, then we would like to do a live show every quarter. And if we can afford it, even more than that. Secondly, I would love to come to Bristol and do a show like this here, because I know that Bristol's a very, very multicultural, very diverse, very creative city. So, you know, I'll be hitting Gary up later on, or later in the week next week, about if we can do that, because something like this would be perfect. I could organise a panel, a show, and a production team. I'd love to come to Bristol, yeah. So the long-term plan would be to expand beyond London, for sure.
Thank you. A final question?
How do you hope to make all your money back?
Good question. And the brutal answer is there's a chance that I might not. But I'm hoping that we get to a certain stage where the audience numbers and the viewing figures are of such that, you know, YouTube, you generate money through that, and the live shows. So I think you've got a better chance of making money and making it profitable in doing live show and selling tickets than you do of having it online. I never started this to kind of make money. I did it because I think there was a need to have intelligent black voices heard on things more than just football and hip hop music. So it was never really about making money. Although having said that, I didn't foresee how much money it would cost to do. So I'd like to make some of that back. We're setting up also on our website a donation page as well. So that will cover the costs, but it will help nibble into the outgoings. Yeah, but the reality is there's a high chance that I might not make the money back. But I'm, for now, prepared to kind of bite that bullet.
Okay, so I just want to say a big thank you to Jordan for being here and being our keynote speaker. Round of applause, please.